I just want to be clear that what I read immediately before we went live is I read that joke triggered by Steve, and in case y'all can't read it because you're on YouTube or whatever, I'm gonna read it out loud. Did you hear about the chameleon who couldn't change color? They had a reptile dysfunction.
I don't have a drum set. I'm not like cool like Wade and Pat. I don't have. There you go. There you go.
Beautiful.
There's Doxy. Thank you, Doxy, for being the cool one here. So
you're welcome.
We don't have Wade, Pat, or apparently Messi, because apparently Messi's cool. None of us realized that before, and we've probably
excuse me,
forgotten.
I'm the one that introduced Messi to everybody. I always knew he was cool.
Oh, you knew he was cool? See,
yeah.
I just thought you knew he was like tolerable.
I love Messi.
You have such good insight in people. Look at that. All right.
Roll deception.
Hold
okay.
on.
Oh my goodness, Aqua.
What do I get to roll?
Okay.
What's my deception check?
I don't know.
Is it just flat 3d6?
It's a flat 3d6. No. Well, probably a -1. Let's be real.
Chris Allen, could you roll me a perception empathy check, please?
This is stupid.
Yes.
This is stupid.
Maybe. I clicked it.
Just
yeah.
crushed.
Wow. All right.
What just happened? I'm sorry.
They wanted you to believe whether or not I was lying to you, and according to Josh, I was lying by saying a compliment. So fuck you, Josh.
Not.
That was a good turnaround. That was some good
well
politics
done,
right there.
Well
I like that.
I just told you I don't have the energy to navigate politics right now. And what are we doing in today's session there, Scott?
Oh, good question. Today's session is going to be, I won't lie, I've been pretty excited about the session all week.
We're going to a hoedown.
Yeah, literally the party is trying to convince the queen, and so of course her court around her, that what they want to do is change their current politics, their current plan, approach is the word I'm looking for, of how to handle their border protection from the Paradel during this war that they're in. Currently, their approach is to have this amazing alliance with Yovance and allow Yovance to do the heavy lifting while they lend lots of like money and military aid and guidance and probably training and whatnot to Yovance. But Yovance is a terrible place. I mean, everybody already knew that, but then the party got to get into the thick of it and be like, no, this place is terrible. This is eating our soul as a Maltese people. Like most of Amulta, maybe they're okay with it because they like the idea of there being this buffer zone between Amulta and the front lines with Paradel. But then when you have actual Maltese citizens, what's his name? Oscar, born and raised in Maltese and a heart of the military. Laszlo, who threw away his past to become a Maltese citizen for the past decade. And Chris Allen, who was technically born a Maltese citizen, but has spent much of her life outside of Amulta, still understanding what they are like as people. When they actually went into Yovance and experienced the culture, as opposed to just knowing that there is a thick line between border and border, and hearing rumors, once they actually were inside of it, they were like, no, this is eating away at the soul, at the very heart of who we are as a people, and we can't stand for this alliance anymore. It is costing us too much in morality to continue. So they're taking the approach of everyone dislikes. Oh, I was like, what? No, yeah, but yes. So, geez, I keep getting distracted by once more with feeling as much as I appreciate it. I'm like, talk through it. And then that last one, as I said, everyone disliked it. Once more with feeling. Oh, everybody really disliked it.
Once more with feeling.
See? So they're going back to the crown after conversations with the people, this guy named Lander that they met up with, so on and so forth. They are going back to the crown and trying to convince the crown, hey, we want you to change your approach to, in theory, back a revolution in Yovance. Give these people some freedom. Give them something. If they're fighting for us, for our freedom, maybe we should also back them fighting for theirs. And I think that's kind of the heart of their argument that they're going with. But this has been a tactic for years now, and they have to kind of go against the machine, that's currently standing. Did I do a good enough sum up of what you guys were doing and kind of all of last season?
Yeah.
Kind of. We also wanted to address helping out the underground people.
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully getting them to join the fray.
So yeah, the humans from under the earth. Yeah, from
And the
under Erōth.
Shroomy boys.
Yeah,
You
that's
guys
right.
always neglect to mention the Shroomy boys.
And we also were talking about maybe getting Galdaria involved, like seeing if they would
And Daisy and Dale.
pretty much start forming a group. Start forming the Avengers to take down the Perrin. Because the Perrin are a problem.
Yeah. I agree. The Perrin have been. I mean, they were designed to be the problem of the nation. Of the continent, right? So they have definitely been a problem. So to sum up last session really quickly, last session you guys met with Lander de Bellin. Bellin, not Elim. So if it ends with an M on your notes there, Doxy, I spelled it wrong. Sorry. It ends with an N for Nancy, not M for mother. So
Got
you.
it.
Thanks. You spoke
M
with
for Mancy.
Nancy?
Mancy.
Mother Nancy.
N for nice ass. As opposed to
Nice ass?
mouse
Why are you
ass.
Why are you talking?
Another.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Anyways.
There is
So-
one thing I'd like to throw out. For anyone that's watching that doesn't know, Van Sexel did a podcast about all the different campaigns going on in Scott's world and how they're all intermingled and connected. And if you get a chance, check out the Discord and the community section. Van, if you could you just repost the link?
That's
And-
so cool. I definitely
Check
want
it
to
out.
listen to that.
Oh,
I
I
have not
did.
listened to it.
We were talking about it yesterday during
Great outro
Kingmaker.
music. It really does come on like that.
And it's perfect because they end without any pause because Steve's like, all right, till next time. And then it comes on and I was like, this is good. What about your what? How wet is it? What?
Yeah. I've never heard of I felt dirty after listening to that song, but I enjoyed it.
I'm not joking. I was doing that. I was actually had a conversation with Vance while I was listening to it, so it kept breaking up. Anyways, there was my tenants of where the house. I was literally scraping a bathtub to like recock the tub and stuff like that. And their daughters, like a 6-year-old girl, was like kind of next to me, like talking at me when all of a sudden that song came on. And I was like, I need to turn this off. This is not okay. Like, it was in my ears as earbuds, but I was like, oh God. So, anyways, yeah, it's called the title they came up with was the Erōthian Spoilers. It's really good. I actually think the dynamic between the two of them is really good. But they might change the name of the podcast. Actually, they might call it the Rayron Apologists. So, yeah. So they might rebrand. Just a heads up.
It's so funny though. I didn't hear Steve's accent when we talked to him in the games. And then in the podcast, it was so like noticeable. I was like, oh, okay.
You know why, right? It's because Vance lives in Jersey. So, it's those two accents. They just bring each other out. You know what I'm saying? So, it's all right.
Are you from? You're close enough to Jersey.
No. No. The closest thing to Jersey is Florida, and we don't do that to Jersey. So,
I lived in Jersey for 2 miserable months, and I am never ever going back.
I've driven through Jersey. I've flown. Listen, to be fair, the worst part of Jersey is Newark. Not to be confused with New York if you're not American. Newark is a city in Jersey. I'm not joking. It has its own aroma, is the word I'll choose to use to be nice. There are nice rural parts of Jersey, but then there's Newark. And if you're thinking of Jersey, that's probably what you're thinking of. So, and then there's, Jersey Shore and anyways. So continuing on. Josh, can you post the link for the podcast? And actually, I'll end up making a trigger for it.
Yeah.
Moving forward, if they keep going it. But
You
anyways,
want it in Discord and chat?
yeah, throw it in Twitch. I'll copy and paste it, and I'll
You gotta make me a moderator again because you timed me out again.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Well, stop saying dumb things.
I said Dragonborn, I think was the last thing I said, and I got banned.
Wait, where's the make you a mod button? I
don't know. Maybe I've been banned so many times at this point. I can't be a mod anymore.
I want to get to playing the game, but I can't find. Ooh, excuse me, I'm like belching in your face. I can't find the make you a mod button. Let me find. Oh, that's why I'm not
Okay.
using that. I'm using this. Josh, unfunny one. Mod powers. You now have a sword. All right, cool. But so, anyways, you spoke to Lander to catch that back up. You spoke to Lander and kind of gave him, you spoke with him about a different approach. You guys wanted to form a new nation here. He was saying that what's his name was trying to do something, but didn't really give you too much detail on it. But he was saying that his approach is to actually cause a bit of a civil war amongst those that already, the lords of Yovance, and to allow for a nation to the south, not along that border, to the south. So you're trying to mesh everybody's ideas together to the thing that's going to be most beneficial for you. Cool. If you're watching YouTube and you want to drop a pin right here for everybody else, that'd be nice. Moving on. So last time you guys played, one of the big things that you had discovered is a couple of details about the different nobles that you had looked into. Doxy, could you go ahead and remind us what notes you got?
So what I have written down is Laney, I'm friendly with his family. I don't know why I said more powerful families.
I mean, there's 7 families aside from the Juka
One
family.
of the more powerful families almost became royalty. They are not likely to support our cause. Tedric Brintel brokered the alliance with Yovance, not at all likely to support. Elise Isaac almost became royalty, despises Yovance, most likely to support, very pro Ascaria. Garrett Bobmo, long-standing warrior tradition, defend the throne, oath keeper, not likely to support. And I have Augustine Heathgart is my dad, and he's gonna goddamn support.
Yeah, Heathgart. Yeah, daddy, you better.
That's what I.
You want love? You want to prove you love me?
23 years of birthday gifts I didn't receive.
You
cashing
owe me a
in.
nation. You owe me a nation now.
How many did you say, Doxy? 20 what?
28.
Oh,
She's Chris Ellen is 28.
Doxy, 23. You got clients you're going to appease. Is that sad? Is that a sad fact about humanity? Anyways, moving on. That's just depressing. So, yeah. So you have these notes of the different peoples that you wanted to have conversation with. So, why don't we kind of bring it into where you guys had left off? You were heading literally to the capital to try to set this up. One of the things I did want to point out that I don't think we talked about last time was if you were heading to Heplon to have this conversation, there actually was a separate place that would probably be the best place for you to have this kind of like, what did you call it, Doxy? A hoedown?
I was just making a funny at the beginning of the stream. I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. Please don't do this to me.
No, it's cool. So probably the best place for you to have this is, sure, you can do it at the castle. Very formal with the, of course the queen lives there, so on and so forth. But another place where you think might be a really good, probably actually a better location for having this kind of an event, as you're like thinking about it, obviously as a, what do you call it? A Jewel of Erōth, specifically diamonds, you have lots of experience kind of in the better places for hosting different types of major events. In Amulta, rather than the castle itself, which has a lot of formality to it, being the castle, being in the capital, so on and so forth, and also, as I keep describing, every time you go back into Heplon, there's this like air to, it's not quite the way it was 10, 20, 30 years ago as like the war has dragged on, right? The war is, only so many years ago, but as it's kind of like dragged on, it doesn't feel the same. Probably a better location for you would be Hecatsia. A nickname for it is the Well of Paradise. There's another nickname is like the Little Ascaria. The reason why this city, which actually is along the same river that Heplon is on, but over on the Ascarian border, one of the reasons why it's one of the best places to go is because even though it's in Amulta, it very much emulates a lot of Ascaria's kind of approach to life and society. It's very, very high end, very you have to kind of like think Vegas like in the 50s or 40s, right? Like it is definitely a kind of like a party town where you can get lots of services that maybe you otherwise couldn't find in other places. Definitely a fun place to go and enjoy a stay, make memories, and then just kind of like walk away from,
Scott, we were already at the main city. So
You had gone to Heplon, correct? Because you still have to try to establish meetings.
Because we
and so forth.
ended with the training measurement with Oscar and myself, and then Chrisellen invited us after she took a long, well-deserved bath to get food.
Correct. And I was just kind of going over what, as you guys were traveling back to Heplon, what it was that she kind of would have thought of as perhaps a better location for you to have such an event rather than at in the capital and at the castle. You know what I mean?
There is something I have a question. Last time you talked about the queen, and you said that like anytime that she has a gathering outside of formal court, she doesn't want business discussed.
Yeah, she'll never
Does that
talk
mean
politics.
with her or anywhere?
With her.
At the party. Okay.
With her. Yep. It's the idea is that she's still a kid, and so she's supposed to a degree appreciate childhood to a small extent. So it's a great way of kind of like lowering people's guard by like, oh, okay, when you go out here, you're not going to talk politics as much. And Doxy's approach isn't to walk up and be like, please read my manifesto. You're going to love the way we really shore up Clause 7 and Article 13. You know, like that's not her approach. The party is how she gets it done. This is more embarrassing for you, I imagine, than it is for me.
No.
So
We've all had awkward, older people in our lives.
Hold
You're
on.
literally
hold
the
on.
only person I stream with that's older than me.
Hold on.
There you go.
Oh, jeez. Speaking of awkward older people, hi Tyler. How you doing? All right.
Hi, Tyler.
All right, Doxy. If you keep staring at the screen, you're not going to see his muscles. You have to actually click on the VOD.
I don't know when you got it in your head that I'm like wet for Tyler. Not that you're not super hot, Tyler. What am I supposed to do here? What am I supposed to do?
It's a bad place.
This is just, you don't ever want your friend to be like, hey, that lady that you think is super attractive, she's right there and you're talking about it right now with me while she can hear me. Like, that's what Scott just did to you. It's like, hey, that hot person that's right over here that can totally hear me talking, that you are totally attracted, even if you're
They can't talk back either. They just can signal.
They're just like
I'm just gonna text how uncomfortable I am and hope that he stops.
yeah, cool. That's
All right. You don't have to talk me up. Not necessary. Tyler, the problem is we do have to talk you up.
Oh, God.
Your muscles do all the talking.
It wasn't me.
Okay, so I would make an appointment to let the queen know that we're here, like formally, like have like tea or something with her, just to be like, hey, we're in town, we will have things to discuss, and then so that I can give her the journal that I bought her, and then I would try to keep an ear to the ground for parties that these people would be at that we need to talk to. Social events.
So my apologies, because what we're talking about is having a shindig thrown to kind of like get them go to it. Are you trying to, I suppose, decentralize that to?
I want to see if there's one happening already.
Okay.
First.
Okay, sure, absolutely, of course. So,
before that, I'd like to have a brief meeting with the queen to be like, hey, here's a progress report.
Yes, which is one of the most important things you guys, as previously discussed, she kind of expected, or as to say, it was expected, that you guys would bring some degree of news, and you wanted to handle that then. Okay, cool. So yeah, it's easy for you to send the report. Like I said, when you guys get there, of course, you're going to go bathe, shower off, get off the road, so on and so forth. There was that little exchange that the other two wanted to do. Correct me if I'm wrong, Doxy, because obviously you're going to go send word to the queen to have a conversation with her. Were you there to witness their, let's say, tomfoolery? No, you weren't. Okay, cool. So you're handling that. Tomfoolery. Josh, you had kind of diverted from my understanding of what you guys were kind of doing off to the side before.
Yeah.
With your new approach, with my better understanding of your approach, could you actually like re-describe that? Because I think maybe it wasn't fully understood until after the stream ended last time.
I mean, we didn't get into it yet
Yeah.
when the stream ended. So what I'm gonna do is he's fighting two normal soldiers and a Gish, and I'm gonna empower the Gish with what I can do: enchant armor and enchant weapon, and I'm gonna instruct Oscar to just attack when he sees the armor, when the magic drop, so that he can maybe work on his like timing of knowing, okay, right now it's a waste to try to attack, hold off, and then attack when he's weakest, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing I can really think of doing, because I imbue magic into items. I'm not a soldier.
Correct,
in
of
that
course.
sense.
And this is just a matter of timing and learning tells or notations or whatever you want to call it for the fact that there is so it's not even about battle tactics beyond just identifying magic's ending and then bringing your approach. So I guess turtling until then, but that's all based off of his own tactics, understanding, and training. So there's really nothing that I need to do here. Correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, you might remember better than me. In this system, how do you identify spells being cast as to what they are? Is it just an Arcana check?
You could do Arcana to understand like what's going on, but to like actually see magic, like detect magic, there's a thing called Arcane Awareness.
Oh, so that's just to detect that magic's happening. But for a
I wasn't aware that was a thing.
Yeah, you would do Arcana, Arcane Lore. You could do Arcane Lore, or you could put Arcane School, like whatever the school is of the magic, if you want, for him to notice.
Okay, cool. So you're trying to give him a bit of training in that, because obviously, like Pathfinder 3.5, it'd be spellcraft, and 5e, I don't even think there's technically a way to identify spells as they're being cast.
Just Arcana, I guess.
I just do use Arcana on that one.
Or
so this one would be the same thing.
Or Wisdom. I don't know. It depends on what you're doing.
Yeah. All right, cool. So you're kind of just trying to give him some training in that one. We don't actually need rolling for that, because that's more of an RP thing, and if it happens after time, we can do a bit of like a training, mentorship sort of. He learns some more ability, but for now, it's fine as is. Did you just look up that spell there, Will?
I was looking for Arcane Awareness. I don't see Arcane Awareness. I see Arcana Various. I see Arcane Lore. Those are both intelligence focuses. But what is Arcane Awareness specifically? Because I don't see it under Perception.
No, I'm pretty sure it's under Power.
Oh, is it an Arcana?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's actually a spell.
It's a legit spell. Like, it's like Detect Magic.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. That's why I was trying to give like you maybe a way to see a physical representation and less like focusing on magics, because his magics are going to be different than mine anyways, because I'm using a Maltese based magic and he's going to be using arcane based magic, but you would be able to see still like how it affects the armor and the weaponry, I think. So it shouldn't matter in that aspect. I don't know. That's just the only thing I could think of to try to aid you.
Is there a visual difference between armor and weaponry that are empowered by arcane magics?
Not. I mean, magic tends to be a bit more subtle when you're doing something like that. I mean, Neil actually, Neil describes a Maltese, and I've kind of run with it because it was the way he wanted to describe things. A Maltese gish, when they enhance their swords, which they can naturally do, is having like a thin blue glow on it, even just at first, and it kind of dims down even more so. So in like daylight, it'd be harder to notice than say at night, and it's daylight when you're fighting. But no, it's a bit more subtle. So you'd probably be trying to, with like these kind of arcana or spellcraft checks.
It's more like knowing when it would drop and like understanding it more.
Yeah, knowing based off like the power of the mage, how long it would last. But beyond that, even it could also be things like sorry, my brain's not working. It could also be things like listening for like a slight hum or slight disturbance, like maybe a static, cling or whatever. Okay. So little subtle things.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Either way, so arcane awareness is what? I'm sorry, a spell?
Yeah. I could post it in the Discord in the game if you want. I have it.
Oh yeah, just bloop over there, and
So
I don't know if that's another spell that you would want to learn, or maybe even learn that spell instead of the one you did choose to learn there, Will.
No, I'm happy with getting Bloodhound because I think
Okay,
that's.
I agree. It's a really good one. Between you sense the flow of arcane power for 1 minute, you can sense magic within 10 yards and make perception checks to check details about it. I mean, that to me, that's really good. So more or less, he's slowly training you in that spell.
Cool. Yeah, that
Okay.
I'm good with that. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. We're all in agreements. So that's kind of like what you're doing, Chris Ellen. For you to go and deliver your request for conversation with the Queen, I imagine this is a pretty standard formal request gone through the normal channels to have that conversation. Blah blah blah. Correct? Cool.
Sure. Yeah.
And so because obviously you guys aren't just like some schmucks coming and requesting Queen where it's like weeks or month later or whatever it is that you finally get an opportunity. It's literally one of those things where you're put in a time slot for later on that day. Shortly before when the Queen would retire for the evening for dinner and then evening activities. You know what I mean? So you would definitely be able to find out pretty quickly that today you're going to speak with the court.
Okay.
As for your ability to find events that those people might happen to be at, it's actually going to be an investigation check for you, which I believe is a communications. I will say this, Doxy, if you're trying to be subtle about it, it'll increase the DC. If you're trying to be open about it, it's going to, like completely open about it, it's going to decrease the DC. And when I say subtle versus open, the meaning behind you're trying to find out about them. I don't know how discreet or open you're trying to be.
I wouldn't say why I wanted to see these people. I'd just be like, I've been out of town for a long time. Want to see my homies. Like.
But you don't know all of them, which is why it seems a bit out of sorts that you'd be asking. Yeah.
But I would be asking about the ones that I am known to be friendly with.
Gotcha. Okay.
I want to get their support before going to the people who I know I won't have support from.
Understand. So, but you're obviously not telling them why. So we're going to be kind of middle of the road for the DC here. Why don't you roll me that investigation check to see what you could find out?
Woof. I think that I can re-roll that.
Ooh, double check your skills. Yeah.
yeah, I think communication was your one, wasn't it? Your specialty.
I thought it was persuasion that you could reroll.
I can do it with etiquette, deception, seduction, or persuasion.
Etiquette, seduction. So not investigation. Yep.
So then you should luck this.
Cool.
Could have been better. Could have been worse, though, to be fair.
Please do me a favor. Remind me again. I should probably be able to pull up your notes here. Doxy, POI. Was it under Doxy? You did the group. Nope, you did Doxy. Lenient, friendly with family. That's of course that's the RCM family, which is the magical people. So you're friendly with the family. It's one of the more powerful families. Not likely to support. But RCM, the reason why you're friendly with the family is that you personally friendly with them. It's that your group is friendly with her brother. That's whose estate in Brintel you were using. I think you remember that. Let's see, Tedric. I thought one of these other ones you knew kind of personally.
Yeah, the one who loves Ascaria.
The one who loves Ascaria you would know personally. Thank you so much. And that is actually Isaac? Yeah. Elise, whose name is actually, oh yeah, it is here. Almost became royalty, despises Yovance, most likely to support pro Ascaria. So that's Elise. So just a little bit more information. So the Isaac family is a true noble family, meaning like older than Amulta. It's the family who has bloodlines with ties to nobility in Ascaria, as well as obviously here in Amulta. They hold many estates in Ascaria, and even it's believed, obviously you hear a lot of rumors in Ascaria, don't you? Actually, since you're from Ascaria, you know that they have some legal and some less so legal estates in Ascaria and have pretty heavy hands in the way that the banks are run out of Ascaria. Because remember, they're kind of like the big banking system in this continent, which is one of the reasons why Malta hasn't gone completely bankrupt. Anyways, the power and influence of this family is the financial backbone that allowed Amulta to secede originally all those years ago. And she personally despises both Yovance and slavery in general. And though she has but she's a person, you know that she has clearly no qualms with indentured servitude. Being a lofty high noble, she sees indentured servitude as a way for those that are born of just lesser opportunities to grab themselves by their bootstraps and lift themselves up and give them an opportunity. She's one of those people. So she believes in things like indentured servitude. You would know her, probably even have encountered her before. I think, again, we went over this last week, but probably not be like friends with her. Just like you've come across each other in many events in Ascaria, right? Acquaintances. About her, you can definitely...
Affectionate acquaintances?
No, not like some GG rubbing. Nothing like that. So, I think that's what it's called. Talking about monkeys. But anyways, so you guys would just be acquaintances, you know what I mean? So friendly. She actually is not in town, as you can imagine. She has several estates throughout, of course, Amulta. She is somebody who comes from a long line of high nobles, so she can usually be found in Heplon, in her own family city of Isaac, which she's not, or in Hikatia, because it's little Ascaria. It's where she can meet many of her friends from across the border. But you do find out she is there, and she is, we'll say, rubbing elbows there.
Okay.
Back to you guys.
Do you feel like that helped you? Do you feel better about fighting against someone that's powering themselves in such a manner?
I want to know more about how you see it, how you understand it better, because I'm picking up on little things, but actually feeling it and seeing it and comprehending it, it's a different thing altogether.
I'm not really good at teaching.
I'm good at learning, so you don't have to be. That's fine. I don't mean teach me perfectly. That's not really my point. I just need more of an understanding.
I mean, you think differently about magic than he does. It's hard to explain. When I came here, I had a certain foundation with magic that was very hard to break. It was very hard to change. A Maltese magic is more fluid. It's more, I want to say, alive. Arcane Congress magic is more. It's more structured. It's like building. It's like being an engineer, more than just magic. You build. You have a set rules, and you build up on top of them.
Build the frame. You then fashion the door that will go in the frame, applying the hinges. I understand.
Yes. I can't. There's one person that I know that was able to change my mind and show me to think differently. I had numerous teachers here, but with the stigma of who I am, a lot of them left. Another group left because of my stubbornness. It was hard for me to accept this new clay of magic, this new molding of magic with your emotions and feelings and mental power.
Magic in Amulta is the heart. Magic from the Congress is the brain.
I could reach out to my old master, the one that helped me change my viewpoints. Maybe he can help you see another viewpoint.
I'm
Master,
always open to learning.
Yes. Okay. I'll send a letter to him. He's old by human standards, very old, and
What do you mean very old? Like abnormally so, or just we should be worried that he may no longer be with us?
I'm not sure for humans.
Fair
Just
enough.
old. And a little different. The way he showed me to see differently is because he sees things differently. His mind is far more fluid than anyone's I've ever met. And it takes a little bit of practice to handle him. But he's a good man.
All right. As I say, I'm willing to learn, and that goes for how to handle someone just as much as it does for learning how to handle Arcane Congress magic.
Okay, I'll send him a letter. I'll send him a letter then, and we'll arrange something. Maybe. I don't know how he's gonna react.
Only if
He'll even
possible.
remember me. He's odd.
Laszlo,
For human.
Did you guys so my apologies. Did you say his name?
I was gonna.
So
but I didn't.
I just didn't know if you did.
Igor.
Not yet, sorry.
not yet.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Is it okay? How do I pronounce that again? Igor or Igor?
Igor or Igor?
Igor.
It's up to you. I don't care.
Igor. Okay, Igor. Master Igor. He. I'll send him a letter, and we'll see. It might take time.
Time is
Very
okay.
old. Very, very old.
Well, if we're fortunate, we'll have time before I have to deal with Joseph.
Joseph won't come here. I don't think so.
You don't think he'll come here?
Not here, no.
But if we
I
travel,
don't. If when we travel, I don't know if he'll be able to find us. Maybe.
You know that they haven't been able to view you since you came into the Amultese border. You know that. We went over
Yeah,
that
I
in
know
your
about
session
me,
0.
but I don't know about them. I don't know how well they can track these two because they have a lighter touch to magic than I do.
unknown quantity is really what I'm understanding here. We just don't know whether or not he'll strike if we leave. That's fine. That's standard procedure anyways. Let's just be on guard, so that's fine. I don't know how long we'll be in Amulta before we have to travel again. It depends on Priscillin and how quickly she convinces people, I suppose.
Well, I'll send him the letter. I don't know how he'll communicate back.
Where is he based?
Here.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes, he taught me here. He's not traveling nowadays. He's, as I said,
that makes it. I wasn't sure if you had traveled to him. That's
no. I wasn't allowed to leave the castle.
I'm surprised, even with a guard, or set of guards, I should say.
You've seen what I can do.
I have seen,
and I
what
keep
you can
telling
do.
you. And I think you might underestimate.
I don't.
I gave up.
I don't. Laszlo, I know I've seen less than a fraction of what you can do.
No, now you haven't. But if I ever
Fair enough.
picked up the old ways,
That's
there's
what I
quite a
mean.
few spells burnt into my brain. That's over 200 years of training. I could easily write back into a book.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Capabilities left are not
He's really
capabilities
old.
lost.
I just want to make sure you understand. He's really old.
I'm not going to throw a spear at him or anything if that's what you're worried about.
Oh. Maybe you will. We'll see.
Okay, well, now I'm excited. Don't get my hopes up.
So Priscillin wanted to eat.
Food, yes, cheese and fruits, and I think the term is a charcuterie board, something like that. I don't know.
I would have ordered up a hen.
Ooh, a hen.
Cornish? Cornish for
That's a whole meal.
Yeah. I used to love when my cousin Miguel would make Cornish hens because he would go ahead and he would make a hen for each person but 2 for himself. It was so funny.
Well, I think we should go eat at the very least. I need to Oscar like wipes sweat from his arms. I should probably bathe quickly. I can quickly do that here in the barracks, and I'll be out in 15 minutes.
Sure, I'll wait.
Thank you. And Oscar's gonna go and just quickly in the barracks, just literally take a cloth and just wipe down, basically, and just get himself clean by his standards.
We have two ways of going throughout this scene. One,
You want
Oscar
details?
cleans up and comes out, and we're all happy. Or two,
You want
excruciating details. The way that Oscar cups his hand around his inner thigh, making sure to get clean all those nooks and crannies, thinking for a moment of the way that Lady Greyeress would stare at him as he worked that wood. The wood that his hand is...
Oh my god!
Laszlo, what are you doing? Are you peeking?
No, you don't
That's
see.
what it looked like.
You don't see nothing. You see nothing, man.
I don't see anything. No. What you see is then Oscar literally just.
I'm not
to clean
peeking. I'm not. No, that's not canon. That's
I'm
not
sorry,
canon.
it's canon now. We've done the contested role. What you see is Oscar quickly wiping down with a rag that's soaked with like soap water, and then literally just quickly like throwing it in the appropriate bin for cleaning, and then getting
To be
reclothed.
clear,
It's
for the
really
sake of this
straightforward.
this scene that is now what's that called? Fan art? Nope. No, we don't care.
Entirely too long. That's what you call it.
For the sake of the scene that's playing out in my head right now, I am visualizing it as Tyler, but with better hair. So.
Okay, I think Scott has a crush on Tyler.
Scott does have a crush on Tyler.
Great hair.
Yeah,
He does have gray hair.
Look, Scott, I'm
give it an
not
8.
gonna take the hair comment as an insult, but I'm gonna take the hair comment as an insult. I'm just saying, you're very specifically describing my character as Tyler with good hair. It's just I don't want to take it personally, but I do feel a little bit attacked. I'm not gonna lie.
I'd give you a hug, but it'd be so awkward because you're so tall.
Well, yeah,
It'd be
your
like-
face is just
I'd be
right
like-
at crotch level.
Yeah,
So,
it's
it's
like, go sorry.
yeah, it's I mean, it's at least not unfamiliar. But
Are you done?
No.
Let's go eat.
You rolled the dexterity check, okay, to be clear, and I think I just did. Anyways, so you guys go meet up with Chris Ellen to kind of like catch up and explain. I imagine you explain to her the details that you do, and she can tell you the fact that obviously the one person she knows is out of town. Otherwise, you have a meeting with the Queen tonight. I don't know if there's anything you felt you wanted to RP or go over again before you meet with the Queen, or if you guys are happy to just move forward. This is kind of like your last second to talk about stuff before you actually go and have your meeting.
I would
Okay.
tell them about the party that's happening near the border. I would tell them about nope, that's it. That's what I would tell
do I
them
have to
about.
get dress attire?
When they showed up, there would be like a third of a hen for each person, and some like grapes and cheese just set aside in 3 places.
Can I have a quarter of a hen and then Oscar gets the
I'll
other?
take the rest. That's
Yeah.
yeah, that's not a problem.
Size difference, Are
Are you gonna finish? Are you gonna finish that? That's
actually, to be fair, every time Laszlo eats, he never finishes all his food.
That's good of him. I can't do that.
No,
I was trained as a kid.
okay.
I can't do that. I'm not allowed.
No, I wasn't allowed to either. You couldn't have
Oh,
drinks.
man.
I wasn't allowed to have a drink until I finished my, any extra drinks.
We always had water with dinner.
Yeah, you had to get one glass of water, and then you had to like ratio. Hey, whatever.
Yeah.
so.
Anyways.
Priscilla, do I need to get better clothing for this event?
Your your formal
For you,
sort-
are they?
I think I just had a stroke.
You just put up both your arms for me real quick. Come on now.
Your formal military garb should do fine.
This is all I have.
We'll get you sorted in the morning.
When is this happening?
Well, our meeting with the queen is happening now.
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
Oh, right.
I would have
You
wiped
can
down
come
a
more.
whole lot better after training if I had known.
It was a fast wipe down.
I can
I'm sorry,
go
what?
alone. It's no problem.
Whatever. They expect me to be sweaty. It's fine.
Okay.
Hey, Grisella, which nobles are going to be there?
Lady Isaac.
Okay. Oh, this is at
She's the
the
only I know for sure.
this is at the, not at court. This is at the other event.
Right.
What are we calling that, by the way?
A party.
Party.
And you know she's anti-Yovance too, so her not being at the court would. It's a good thing you're not pleading that case now. You're just giving a report. But she's one of the people that you're gonna want back here.
Just to confirm, Scott, as well, the report I got back from the movement of the troops was just, it did not appear that they had moved, or at
Correct.
the very least, not a massive change in numbers at this time. It appears to be an entirely different detachment that has gone down south.
Correct. Yep.
Cool. Perfect.
Yep.
I
Is
just wanted
this
to
a
make sure I had that right.
continuous? Is this a continuous report we're getting, or is it just a one-time thing?
I mean, there's always continuous reports coming in, but that was a one-time extra.
Okay.
Somebody go out there and report directly back to Oscar with like some pretty decent
Yep.
detail, and so everything seemed the same.
Okay. Well, the queen's nice, and she knows how I dress, since this is the same outfit I've had for 10 years.
We're providing a report right now. We're not trying to convince them of anything.
No,
When
understood.
we go to convince them, we should dress not more formally necessary, but I should be cleaner.
Yes, I think Chris Allen will be in control of that. It seems to be her wheelhouse.
No, I will probably continue to bathe myself.
I meant the appropriate attire that we
I
should wear,
understand.
but okay. Okay. We eat.
So you guys eat, kind of prepare yourselves or whatever for your meeting for later on. You know, as I said beforehand, that Isaac isn't going to be there. Last name Isaac isn't going to be there, but you don't know exactly who is going to be attending this event. The only other thing I think I would point out is because Josh, I don't think I had specifically said this to you before, because you would know this. Of the families that we did talk about, the name Arcium, right? Lainey Arcium. She actually has been a very close member of, and you guys did know this, to the crown for a long time. I'm just making sure I'm talking about the right one.
They also almost became royalty. They were like in the running for royalty.
That is not the part I'm referring to, but you are correct there. Hold on 1 second. Maybe I'm saying the wrong one. I'm just looking at my notes. I'm so sorry. I'm actually reading through my notes and. Oh, sorry. No, actually, Isaac. That person, Isaac, the other one that's not here. Because of the fact that she's so close to the throne, which again, that one we already talked about beforehand, the one that actually Doxy happens to be friends with, she's actually kind of seen as almost like an adoptive mother to the queen, since the queen became an orphan about 10 years ago. So obviously she had her grandparents that raised her, because when her grandfather, the king, died, she became the queen. But anyways, the Isaac is the same one. So again, that person's not there. I think I just forgot to mention to that you last time. Going on, so when you guys finally get to the castle, Josh, to you, it's, hey, I'm going home, but I'm formally walking in with my friends here. Hey, that same hallway that we described beforehand, rounding that bend and being in that waiting spot before the actual doors open. It's the same kind of thing. You know how it is in old castles. There's a bit of a presentation when people enter the room to have formal meetings and whatnot. So the door does open, and you are all announced for who you are. Your announcement is no different than it was last time, stating your names and your significance and so on and so forth. As you go walking across the large chamber, the actual throne room towards where the queen sits, you can see that the queen, once again, in you know, in all of her majesty, you know, sitting there looking just absolutely stunning, not in an attractive necessarily way, just in the way that she just kind of imposes her own force of will, imposes her own kind of like character, despite being so young, sitting on the throne. She comfortably sits there, and at her side, you see there are currently 5 people instead of the, 8 that usually sit with her. There are currently 5 people. You notice that Tedric Brentel happens to be there. You notice that Garrett Bombo happens to be there. Both those people are kind of like not so happy that they are there at the moment. You notice that where's the other one? Laney Arsium happens to be there. And then lastly, you notice that there's 5 people. You know that Nadia happens to be there. That was another one that I had mentioned beforehand. And lastly, there's somebody else that's standing there that 2 of you don't know. And Josh, you think it's a little strange to see them there, just because you've never seen them in the court with the queen before. But so sorry, I'm just again going through my notes trying to find names here. So bad at names. I have to keep them written down, otherwise I'll never remember them. Here we go. Nope, not that one. Octavius. And the last one's name is Octavius, happens to be there. So again, just to go over who those are, because Docs, you do have notes. You see Tedric Brentel, you see Garrett Bombo, you see Nadia Karovsk, and you see Laney Arsium, okay? But the 5th one you see is Octavius. Now, Josh, Octavius is somebody that was he's been around for a while in the castle. He's actually kind of a kind of a nice guy. Not really the most joking around, laughing person, but definitely an honest person, somebody who's very keen, very intelligent, and was seen as an advisor to the throne before, to the king that was in place. He's never really sat in on meetings like this because he was an advisor outside of the court. Literally the placement, as you can see where he's standing, that's actually the place where you usually see Heathgart standing by the queen, just like his positioning to her side. That's usually where you would see the Heathgart standing, but Heathgart is not here. Again, the reason why it doesn't strike you as too strange, but a little strange, you've never seen him in these meetings before, but it is somebody that she always kind of known since she was a very young age, like yourself. She actually affectionately refers to him as uncle. So she usually calls him Uncle Octavius, Uncle Oct, you know, stuff like that. It's somebody that she's kind of always looked up to. So maybe with Heathgart currently being gone, he's just filling that role for her. Either way, you do see him in here as well. You don't know
his last name? I'm so sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I just have Octavius here. His last name is Octavius Devault. So anyways, so Octavius Devault. But again, you don't really know his politics or anything like that because he's not somebody that's given them. So you go walking in, and the 3 of you come across the room, and of course, you know, it's a moment where you kneel before the queen, of course. And one of the things that you'll notice, Josh, is, again, you don't have the Venators standing behind you. You don't have spears at your back. You don't have any of this stuff happen like what was kind of happening before. It feels different. Everything feels changed for you. The 2 of you, it's similar to your last encounter when you were here before. Anyways, after going up and kneeling before Her Majesty and probably saying a word of veneration, whether it be Your Majesty or kind of like respectful silence, she'll actually give like a moment and then she'll say, "Please stand."
As I stand, I would proffer the journal, the pen, and a bottle of ink, and I would hold it out to her and say, "For you, milady."
So when you do that, she'll actually look to one of the people that's to the side. This is a servant that happens to be inside the area. Again, not to confuse servant with indentured servitude or slavery, just position servant. In there to, would walk over and take the gift from you and would bring it over to the queen and hand it directly to the queen. And she would look at it and is a moment where I want you guys to roll your perception empathy check.
Thank you.
I see. Oh, so you just That's
I
weird.
did
10,
a
16,
10,
13.
Chrysalin had a 16.
Oh, because your total came in. It's just because
Yeah,
the lag.
it broke apart. Yeah.
Yep, 10, 16,
exactly.
13. Cool. So it's actually, Chris, are you happy with your 16, or did you want to modify that for this?
I'm happy with it. She's a teenager.
Okay. So she's very well practiced, though. So with your 16, you can actually see that there's, generally speaking, she would just say thank you, same as you brought a gift last time. She would say thank you, and she would put it to the side, same as she did last time, and she made a comment about it. Instead, what she does is, as she takes the gift and she holds it, there's actually like an extra second and a half where she kind of like strums her finger along the side of it. You can kind of see like a moment of appreciation. And then she says her thank you, and she hands it back to the servant to put elsewhere for her. She then turns to the three of you and says, I'm delighted to hear that the three of you have returned home from being over the border and in such a dangerous region. I understand that you come with word from our allies and of our enemies. Please, if you have any word that we have not already procured from our scouts and military advisors, I would appreciate anything that you can bring to us. Hopefully word of success?
Not in abundance, milady. No words in abundance at all, unfortunately. Plans are in motion, and we will have more for you. But I fear that friend and foe may be one and the same.
I beg that you elaborate.
It was a rather treacherous journey. A lot of accusations of treachery thrown about.
If you don't mind, Chrysalin, she says, and allows like a moment to pause. If you would like to have a moment to collect your thoughts, you seem to be a bit emotional from the journey. She's, you can again roll an insight check, Doxy, on that one.
Okay.
You know what I mean.
Scott, I have a question. We never really defined that ability to be able to commune with spirits. Is it a spoken thing? Is it, how does it
I mean, you
show?
talk to them if you want to talk to them, and you hear them, like audibly hear them to hear back.
Mhm.
Nobody else sees the spirits. They
Okay,
will
but
see
I
you
do have
talking
to
something.
speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have to speak to. Okay.
Yep. Doxy, that's actually a really good roll there. This is an exploration, technically. Feel free to use those stunt dice. Because that could be critical in this moment. Critical hit.
What do you think I should use them on, guys?
Oh,
I'm just
it's
looking.
exploration.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You could do resource at hand. You could choose a focus. It'll give you an aid in the future. So it'd be a focus under anything under perception.
Oh, actually, you could do a focus for perception empathy.
Yep.
Oh, she
Or
already
you could
has
get
a
plus
focus
two.
on. She already
You
has a
already
focus
do,
on it.
Yeah.
So if you already have a focus, it just gives you an additional +1 because a double focus is only a +3 total. If I
I
remember
kind
correctly.
of want to do an additional focus on empathy.
Okay,
since
cool.
I've already had to.
Roll it once.
Makes
twice.
sense.
Okay, so you get an additional +1 for future rolls. Okay.
Okay.
So with that success, you actually know that when she says this, she actually genuinely means it with no judgments negatively. She's actually saying it with a bit of concern for your well-being, because a person like you is usually very well composed. So the fact that you're kind of like almost stuttering over your words, and the fact that you said it was accusations of treachery, it was dangerous, so on and so forth. She knows by dangerous you mean more than just politically dangerous, and so she's trying to be almost motherly, which is weird because she's like half your age.
Right.
So
Merely your majesty, my queen. Apologies.
she nods for you to proceed.
There are several underground operations working against Yovance, and we haven't found out enough to properly address them with you in this time. But there is work to be done here in the capital. I'm afraid that we'll have to reconvene at a later time once we learn more.
An underground movement working against our allies. This can be concerning. she says. And you could actually hear, at this point in time, you'll have Tedric speak up, and he says, unfortunate indeed if Yovance has any more problems. If, Your Majesty, if that border thins anymore, I can see our allies not looking to trade with us as much as they generally would. We need to make sure that our borders hold strong. We need to make sure that our alliances hold strong. Perhaps we should speak to, we can convene afterwards and speak of sending additional military aid. What kind of dangers do you speak of? He says, turning to Chryselen. Or the three of you, realistically, but looks at Chryselen because she's the one that has been speaking.
I'd say in a very Sorry. I was
Go
going to say, I'd say in a very undertone to Chryselen, be like, do you mind?
One moment. I don't want to speak for all of us, but we were chased out of camps just for having a Maltese armor. They suspect us.
Garrett, at this point in time, speaks up. This is the one who is nicknamed Oathkeeper. He says, unfortunately, the alliance between Amulta and Yovance, while steadfast as it is, has not always been. We have a difference in culture, a difference in ideology, and sometimes those differences can be put aside on the grand political scale between their rulers and ours for the benefit of all of our people. That doesn't mean that each individual person can understand or appreciate why it is that we've made these decisions. I'm sure that whatever experience you came across was something to that scale, an individual being dissatisfied with your presence, as opposed
Oscar
to...
will actually step forward and kind of nod to Chryselen, just kind of essentially saying that he's going to speak here.
Do you do this in the middle of this man's sentence, more or less as an action of interruption, even if you're not verbally interrupting?
Step forward, but then motion for him to continue,
Right.
Essentially, but just noting that I will be responding to him when he's ready.
He'll actually trail off at that point and will bring his attention fully to you and say, Master Venator, unless you have some more insights that perhaps I am lacking.
I just simply wish to speak to the numbers. There were over 200 troops that chased the three of us. What was the town name again? I apologize.
I have to find my cursor. There it is. You were in Strandano. Yep.
Strandano.
Jinx, Coke, you owe me a poke.
In Strandano, even if it is one individual, it is one individual with enough power to control over 200 soldiers. That is enough of a concern for me that it should at the very least be brought to all of your attention.
2,000.
2,000. Saying the correct number.
Yeah.
And he would just nod and then step back.
And that's only visibly, Your Highness.
I understand. These soldiers, however, that moved against you, I've heard no news of soldiers moving.
Oscar nods and steps forward again and says, based on my understanding, they were coming up from the south and were redirected back southwest. We believe this is to deal with one of the insurgency or underground groups that is working against Yovance, though I believe that they suspect Amulta is aiding those groups.
Laney speaks up at this point and says, insurgency, please. What details do you have on this?
Oscar will just kind of nod and bow in recognition to some extent, and then go back and say, unfortunately, not many details at this time. We know that it is near the Tri-Corners in Yovance, and apart from that, we know that they are causing disruption. Beyond that, we know that they have dummy camps set up that are there to detract and distract. We don't know any further details at this point, at least not that I'm aware of. And Oscar will kind of motion back to Chris Ellen for that and step back.
There's not much more that we can discuss now. And at least none that I'd like to until we have more information. I'd hate to misrepresent the facts.
At this point, actually, Octavius would speak up for the first time and say, what he actually does is he leans over and audibly, quiet, but audibly says, Your Majesty, may I? And she'll look to him and she'll almost a little surprised. You can see Chris Ellen, because you've been, so far, your empathy's been good enough. Almost a little surprised, but not in like a negative way. And then she gives like a nod of approval. And then he looks up and says, You called this meeting to inform us of further details. So she said, you called this meeting to inform of further details. Do you have any more details than the fact that you might have more details?
We called this meeting because we had to regroup in the capital, and we wanted to give a status report, as was asked of us when we left.
He actually looks back at the Queen, and then looks back at you again and says, did I offend you in asking that question?
No.
And then he will just kind of like step back and not say anything at this point. The Queen says, You're asking for time to finish gathering together the information that you need to bring forward some greater understanding of what's happening with our allies to the south.
And an understanding that things that we once believed to be true may not be true anymore.
Roll a perception empathy check for everybody. Doxy, you don't need to modify. I'll just know you have one higher than what it says.
Okay. Jesus Christ.
You
okay,
rolled
never
an
mind.
18.
Yeah,
You're fine.
I thought I rolled
We
an
both
11.
rolled 11. You're fine. You actually rolled 19 because of the +1 with 4 stunt points, which is just stupid. All right.
After a brief pause, she says, regarding friends and foes, that is.
How did you want to use your force stunt? This is, again, it's exploration technically, because you're learning as opposed to speaking.
I'm gonna just keep pumping empathy.
You can't go one. You can't do more than a double focus.
Oh no!
You can do things like with a flourish, which is like the manner in which you know what I mean.
Yeah, you have a +1 bonus to oppose tests against people.
Yeah, I'll do that.
If affected by you
Cool.
until the time or venue changes. It's
All
very
right.
good.
So what you actually realize is as you interrupt the Queen, when she was in the middle of speaking, she didn't seem to care too much because she again seems to understand who you are as a person. She doesn't seem to care too much. But you can see that definitely ruffled the feathers of a few of the other people inside of the room. Even a few of the guards in the room like turned their head and like looked at it like, ooh. But she didn't seem to be too offended by it. She doesn't seem to be that kind of person. She lets you finish what you're saying, and then she says, I understand. My question is how long you are requesting to procure this information, and do you intend to go abroad one more time to finish gathering this information?
I genuinely don't know what to say to her, guys.
A broad meaning out of the country. We're not planning on going out of the country. We are planning on doing more local gathering at this point. So you could say that.
Feel free to have
like
a minor
local,
meta chat.
local to Amulta. We're planning on Josh, you're muted.
How long will it take us to travel? That'll tell us. That'll determine how long we're to travel to that border party, the Schwingdig or whatever. Scott?
I'm so sorry. Say it one more time. To get there, to get to that place.
And back.
It's literally a 1-day ride there, downriver.
So I would say
actually
a week.
A little under a day ride downriver, and then a little over a day ride back upriver.
Yeah.
It's
So I would ask a week. That would give us a couple of days to play with.
1 week.
She says, a week isn't much time at all to request, she says, and once again, roll me an empathy check.
Just for everybody or just Chris Ellen?
Everybody, but Chris Ellen pretty much figures everything out on her own.
She's killing it, but I just it's
okay.
worth
Hey! Me and Will are like
14.
together. We're on together.
We have
It was
rolled
10,
the same
11,
thing
and 14.
literally every time. It's very good.
You know that her tone when she says a week isn't very long to ask. You know what I mean? It sounds kind to you, but it's actually meant to be a bit of a statement to those that stand to her side, meaning more or less, this isn't a lot to ask. Back off. She says, a week isn't very long to ask, and you're not going to be going abroad. That's good news to hear. I'd hate to see loyal subjects of Amulta be brought into harm's way once again. Perhaps a little bit of time to rest and relax before you do need to go abroad again would be a good thing for each of your well-beings. Is there anything else that you needed to report to us while you were here?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
I'll step forward and I'll look to Chriselle and be like, I'm sorry. And he'll look to the queen and say, my queen, full disclosure, my history, my past may have come and bit us in the butt during our mission. And bit us in, yeah, I mean, he's not a politic person.
In the behind,
bit us in the asshole. In the behind during our mission. The Arcane Congress was present and they recognized me.
Oh. Anybody that you knew personally?
Yes. From the incident that brought me to this wonderful land.
I appreciate your being so forthright and honest with this one. I'd be looking forward to speaking to you later about this.
I'll just step back.
Oscar, as you step back, Oscar will actually put like almost a comforting hand on your shoulder, but it'll be firm enough that it's also like a, hey, it'll be all right, buddy, but also it'll be why? I understand, but why? Yeah. And Oscar will kind of step forward once more and just say, I do have just one more update, which is that it appears that the troops for Yovance are holding strong between the border lines. It does seem to be that only one group broke away to head southwest, at least as far as we know. I haven't had any further updates from scouts to inform of anything further, but at the very least, we know the camps are at the same level of fulfillment that they were when we stopped by on our way through to Strandano.
She nods, and you can actually see Garrett Bombo gives you that look like of the updated report or whatever you have, and kind of gives you a look of military, like kind of like where you're getting your information. So he does ask you specifically, how recent is this information that you've procured?
How many days was it travel from Brintel?
Honestly, 2, 3, something like that. Yeah.
Then 3 days.
It's more recent than ours. Thank you.
Oscar nods and just says, if you'd like, I can send for another, but it will take more time, of course.
He nods, and then she says, once again, Amulta does appreciate all of her people for what it is that they do to keep us strong, to remember who we are and why we are this way. May the gods always look over us. May Amulta always be a shining jewel in Erōth. And kind of like gives you like for you guys to leave.
Oscar bows deeply.
As you guys go to leave, there's actually a moment where you can actually see that Lainey goes over and whispers something to the queen's ear. The door opens up for you guys to walk out, and usually you would walk out and the person that's waiting outside, we should actually see there's 2 soldiers outside looking to come in. Before I give the next part, you, sir, Oscar, could you do me a favor, roll me a military lore check? If you don't have that, then just an intelligence check.
Intelligence, then. It's 15.
Cool. You can clearly tell by the way that they're dressed, the dirt and where it's kind of like on them. They're clearly riders. They're clearly scouts to the military. So you can obviously tell that. So they're probably coming in to give some sort of report. Anyways, as the door opens up and you can see them stand up, like they're getting ready for their excitement for them to be able to go in next to see the crown, because not every scout gets to go and actually speak to the queen. So as they stand up waiting for you guys to fully leave for them to go in, you actually hear a call from across the throne that says, one more thing.
stop immediately.
Hi.
Yeah.
Laszlo, are you busy later on this evening?
Never. For you.
She, a slight look to her side, like head nod to her side without fully looking that way. She says, if you could find it if you find time in your schedule to meet with the Lady Arceum, it would be appreciated.
Yes, my friend.
As I curtsy to leave, I would say, I find that journaling at the end of the day in the moonlight is quite relaxing.
Do me a favor, roll me a communications check on that one. I don't know if there is anything you would tag on to that. Oops, sorry. You rolled. Hopefully it's really good. I'm just gonna double check communications. Technically speaking, I should have had all you guys roll etiquette when you went in there. I'm just a terrible person and didn't. No, you didn't need to add anything on there. That was just.
She would have a +1 though, because remember the
for
the
the test. So
That's
for the
true.
test.
So it's a 17, yeah. Which a 17 is a really good. So you say that, and you can actually see Doxy. Again, Doxy, roll me an
empathy?
Yeah, you actually, because of the distance, because now you're all the way across the room, you do get a -2. Jesus fuck, you still get a 19.
with the +1, so it's a 19. That's
You still
hilarious.
get a 19.
Jesus, lady.
Oh my
goodness.
god.
Stop it. Wait,
Well-
no, it's +2 because you haven't added the bonus for the focus too. So it's back it's back exactly at a 20.
So guys, earlier in our personal Discord channel, I said I'm effing pumped for tonight, and then sent the super inappropriate GIF. And one of the things I specifically said was, Doxy, please bring your good dice tonight. It seems like she likes that GIF. So, anyways, Brittany was like, "Why are you sending that to people? That is horrible." I was like,
I don't think I even saw the GIF. This is now something I have to go look at. We're doing this live. Oh yeah, wow, that's something else there, Scott.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
I kind of ignored that one. I don't know why. I went straight to
that's
Hamilton.
The correct.
I ignored that.
You
one.
made the correct choice.
I've been trained by Scott.
You do not want to know. You do not want to know.
Yep. Moving on. So, Doxy, you can clearly tell with your 5 stunt dice there that she actually I'm just double checking one thing real quick, going back down to exploration, see if there's anything else. No, you're good. So you actually notice that she gives you an appreciative nod, smile, like she appreciates what it is that you said and did. She knows what you're getting at, because again, there was the wine before, and then there was this. You know, it's understood what you're doing, in a positive way, not like it's understood what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But you can also see that as you do that, while you are subtle and good at what it is that you do, you can also see that Tedric is picks up on it as well, as others kind of like starting to go about their business, whatever it is. His eyes do kind of like fall upon, and you can see like he's looking at you as well. His is a little bit less appreciative, kind of like sucking up to the queen, kind of like expression coming from him. All right, moving on.
Out of curiosity, do I have a chance to quickly, as we're walking out and passing those 2 scouts, can I quickly just lean over and just say, where are you reporting from?
You actually can do that, because they're not going to get announced for like another 15 seconds or so.
Yeah.
So the room is properly cleared. Those can finish up the quick little chat, and then they'll be able to come in.
Yeah.
So like the doors actually close and reopen, you know? So
Oscar will actually go up to them and just like kind of approach them and look at them and just say, where are you reporting from?
Let me make sure I say this correctly. The east border, sir.
From Yovance.
Sir.
Any news of movement from the troops there?
Indeed there is, sir. And the doors start to open. He's like, and he kind of like gives that look like, I gotta go.
Oscar nods and just says, mass, just looking for mass movement is the quick
He
term?
gives roll me a perception insight check, or you know what it's called. Yeah, that one.
It's 15.
That's a really good roll. You can
Yeah,
actually see
yes.
the look on his face is an answer enough. This concerns look on his face.
Yeah.
And then
Oscar
he
just nods and says, "Thank you."
he turns and walks in, and you can hear, them starting to announce like their names and, scouts from the east and so on and so forth. And they go
Oscar
walking in.
Immediately walks over to both Chrisellen and Laszlo and says, "We may not have a week."
Do you want me to whisper the secret message that I left in the journal to you, or do you want me to send it over Discord or what?
Send it over in Discord. I'll read that really quickly, please and thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
She used the moonlight ink.
The court, is it
Sneaky,
a public?
sneaky.
Is it public hearing, or no? It's
not this. No.
Closed. Okay, they're
Correct.
closed door.
Correct.
Okay.
This would be anything that's going to be happening in the throne room like this, where it's like we're talking reports, military reports, so on and so forth. It has to be kind of closed. So, anyways, you guys are able to walk away. You say to them, "Seems like we may not have a week." Responses
We
from
may
the
not
other
have a
two.
week, and he will actually say mass movement on the east border.
I think we saw this coming.
I think that we're going to be in a lot of trouble. Not us personally, Amulta, I mean.
He might have bitten off too much more than he could chew. Our friend to the south, it's south. It's gonna be a lot of death if it comes to war. Most of those armies are nothing but slaves. What does that mean to meet someone like that for a meal? I've never been invited to like that.
It means they want to speak with you, and it means you specifically, and it means, well, I don't know. It depends. If it was someone like Lady Graris and inviting me specifically, it might have a different connotation than someone like Lady RCM inviting you specifically, or it might have the exact same connotation. I have no idea of her intentions. Chrisellen, what do you know of that?
I think they should like to poison him against our cause. Turn him spy.
Lady RCM.
Lady Arcium's Auntie Yovance, just so you know. And you're friends with her brother, Roderick. Or friendly with.
I thought you said she was on our side. Or at least
Can you
against
rewind
you
a little
once.
bit?
Yes.
I have.
Chrisellen, what do you know about this kind of invitation?
I have not likely to support in my notes. Did I just misunderstand last time?
I think you may have flipped the script on that.
I mean, he gave you so much information.
It's true. There was so much.
Okay, let me just erase this knot.
Yep.
I have a whole list of notes that I'm eventually just going to kind of copy and paste to you guys. It's just a matter of learning each of them.
Yeah.
Sure.
Remind me, Scott, was that like tonight or tomorrow? I don't remember the
Tonight.
exact wording. Tonight.
And it's,
Okay.
it's already evening because she's
so
supposed to
like
be
in an
back.
hour.
Yeah.
All right. Chrisellen, is there something I should do to prepare?
Oh,
I'm
we
nervous.
don't have the time, but
You should at least wash
make
You did watch
friends,
earlier.
Laszlo.
again.
Use your relationship with me to win favor. We can sway RCM. We can sway her to support our
Once more
cause,
with feeling.
even if
Do you-
she doesn't outright support it.
Chrisellen, do you know if she had any hand in the library that we visited in terms of preparing it or
Once more with feeling.
designing it or anything along those lines? Is she
Would I know?
She a caster of any kind?
RCM specifically is that's the RCM family. They're the arcane people.
Yeah.
Historically, they're the family that discovered the types of magics that are now the core magics of Amulta. But that was like
Her
hundreds of years ago.
personally, Does
Her
she have
personally.
anything to do with the building of the library? Does she cast magic,
Once more
anything
with
like that?
feeling.
She's definitely a mage. That library is her brother's. So what you guys would kind of like know of her personally compared to her family are people that believe that magic is something that should be kind of discovered by one to individual study or learning, so on and so forth. Not her specifically, but her family believes magic is something that you kind of like if it's there, if it's within you, explore it yourself, discover it yourself, but it should be an open thing for everybody to have the opportunity to learn. And their families are the ones that have put in the most money and effort to make the schools of magic available as almost like public schools. So we're talking like very, very cheap to get into schools. Kind of like a charter school, right? Where it's not crazy expensive, but it ain't free either, for kids to get an education, you know?
I would relay that to them.
It's all information you can use to discuss with her.
So she's probably gonna ask.
What's the name of those
about
weird schools where the teachers are like, just let your kids play outside in grass with no sandals? What's that weird, that newish schools style?
New England.
No. I can't remember the name of it. It's actually
the only one I know is Montessori.
Those are
Montessori. Yeah, they almost believe like Montessori style of learning magic, where you just kind of like discover yourself with magic.
It's a sandbox.
Yeah.
Okay.
So her family's like, they generally believe in Montessori magical learning. Sorry, continue.
She may be asking you to just speak to those things, or maybe she's looking for a teacher.
No matter
Oscar
what,
smiles.
impress her.
I'll try. I'm not very. I don't have as much presence as you and Oscar.
Well, I find you exceedingly pleasant to be around.
Well,
You
thank
do have presence. You just don't know you have presence.
Okay.
Is there anything that I can do to like boost his charisma?
I just rolled.
I mean, you know, they say there's this glow that you get after you've had sex. So maybe that would help.
Oh, I would pin my diamond on him.
Oh.
I would pin my diamond on him and give him the barrette to keep in his pocket for luck.
Thank you.
I will like these back when you're done.
Of course, they look better on you.
Look at him, a regular charmer.
We will go clothes shopping in the morning.
Yes, I'm thinking maybe an upgrade to the goggles. They tend to put people off.
Well, he's having dinner. Would you like to spend some time together, Chris?
We just ate.
Yeah, no, not eat, obviously. You're going for dinner again. Congratulations. But no, while he's off doing that, would you like to spend some time together?
I should like to find out more information about where more of these people will be so that we can get their ear.
That's what I mean, yeah. Sorry, did I come across like I was implying something other than work?
Yes.
Oh, I apologize. I meant work. Would you like to work tonight?
No, but we will.
Okay, well, maybe it will be not terrible.
So, flashing forward that hour or so time, of course, very shortly, like we're talking minutes later after you kind of break off from them when you get back to your room. So they're like, how do I meet with this? There's like pardon me, the Lady Arceum would like to see what time is best suited for you to meet with her. 45 minutes from now, would that be appropriate?
Yes. That's fine.
She does keep a rather regimented schedule. So, they remove from their sack literally a what's it called? Sand.
Hourglass.
Yeah, hourglass. Thank you. And flips it over and hands it to you and says, "Before the sand runs out, please."
Okay.
Except
What?
it's a 45-minute glass.
Yeah. Is it a formal attire? I'm sorry. I'm not used to these type of meetings. What kind of I just look at my clothes and like I'll be there.
It just says, kind of like one of those looks down dismissively, says, and like checks off something and starts walking away. So of course you finish getting yourself ready. Anything I need to focus on there, Josh, or are you good?
I want to send a letter. I'll write a letter. Send it
to Foss.
Yeah, to Foss, and then I'll just go straight from after writing the letter and deliver it. And I'll just wait outside the area.
To be fair, though, the letter's probably a bit lengthy, so it probably takes you like 15 minutes, 20 minutes to write the appropriate thing, so on and so forth. And then walking across the castle probably takes a good 10 minutes or so. So it's not like you're out there for forever. You're out there for like 10 creepy minutes. That's all, which honestly isn't that bad considering you're meeting her inside of her study, her study, like inside of a wing of the castle. So when it is one of those things where the hourglass is almost empty, nobody comes and opens the door or anything like that. You just kind of like walk up and knock on the door.
If it ends, yeah. Like
Okay.
if the hourglass ends,
So
I'll
the
wait
final
outside
drop
the
of
door.
sand drops out, and you're like, it's time. The door hasn't opened. So you walk up, you knock. You hear from inside kind of like the echoed, distant, muffled, come in. I don't even know if the mic picked me up.
It
It did. I'll enter.
Okay.
How grand is this room?
So this is, this is Lady Arceum's private study inside the castle. It is, to say grand would be an understatement. I mean, it is, the ceilings, which are vaulted, of course, are covered in books from top to bottom. There's multiple desks inside here, which it looks like there's little stacks of books sitting on top of them for, whatever work she or other people might happen to be doing in there. When you go in, of course, there's a massive fireplace, but you can already tell how well trained you are in magics. You can already tell that fire is either A, not real, like magically put there, or B, not actually technically fire, but maybe even like an elemental or something like that. It throws you off as being something different, like not plain fire, which should make sense. She wouldn't want to risk fire around this. Yeah. So either way, like, you can pick that up almost immediately when you walk in the room. She's dressed, of course, same as she was just an hour and change beforehand. And when she called for you to come in, she actually was sitting over at one of the desks. There's 3 in there in total inside the place, where she does, she says, come in. You walk in, and as you kind of like shut the door gently behind you, she closes the book that she was working at and picks up and puts on top of the stack. Stands and turns towards you, walking towards you, and says, Laszlo, I appreciate you finding the time to come and speak with me.
Of course.
She gestures towards a couple of comfortable seats over by the fire and says, would you like to have a seat?
If that's what you'd like. I'll hop up on the seat. Skip that.
Makes her way over and sits down in the chair as well. I imagine a place like this room, after like a moment or two of like, I guess awkward for you, silence, she'd actually gesture towards the study that you're in and says, I imagine a room like this is something that's very comfortable or at least familiar for you. Is it not?
To be honest, this kind of room is exactly what I've always dreamed of my own studies to be like.
Something that certainly the great mages of the Arcane Congress would have aspired towards, amassed over their countless decades of learning the arts.
Yes. Honestly, my savant had a much smaller place, but it was stacked full with many items of unknown power.
Igor, however, very, very different, was he not?
Yes, he was.
He was originally trained in a RCM school many, many years ago, before I was born. I don't know about you, though.
No, he's a young man in my lifetime.
It's pretty common how it is people are trained here in Amulta. The way that they've learned to study magics is to discover it themselves, to explore and find what fits best for them. It's good in the sense that people find their own place, they find their passions, they're able to pursue them, and to be successful in the ways that they want to be successful. But it's a failure in the sense that we consistently lose. What the Congress has that we don't is a strict regiment, a schooling that is relatively uniform for all those that seek to learn. Perhaps not uniform in the various schools, or whatever word they use for it is. Not necessarily uniform in what magic they're learning, but certainly the way that magic is taught. And every mage comes out of their schooling, whether they be of gnomish, human, or other descent, with a fairly strong understanding of how magics work and a fairly strong grasp of how to improve themselves as they move forward. They certainly gain power relatively rapidly, don't they?
Once they're out of the schooling, yes. I disagree with you on the foundations. It's easy for the Arcane Congress. Their laws kind of force regimen.
Their laws are archaic and outright evil in some situations. I think you and I both agree on this, though we've never spoken before. I know much of you, as you can imagine.
Yes, I would imagine someone so close to the throne's ear would.
I've seen you many times in the hallway and whatnot as well, but yes, their laws are archaic, but that's not what we're discussing here. We're discussing their schooling. Would you not agree that it is outright more successful in its ability to produce quality mages that are capable of defending their lands?
Yes, I would say that they're much more successful.
She actually leans in a little bit and says, "You were trained to be a savant, were you not?"
I was gonna be trained as a savant. I would never made it to that. Wait, did I make it to savant? Or savant was a tier above where I was at, and I was given the opportunity,
approval, but you did
but
not,
I didn't go. Yeah. No, I was never trained in the savant levels of magic, the arcane, but I was given that option before I left.
So clearly you are, or were, a good student of theirs. I'd like to be plain with you, Laszlo. Amulta is struggling across the board. There are many areas where we're losing fights, battles here and there. I think one of the ways that we're losing a fight is that we are outmatched magically now. The reports that were sent back by Oscar, the three of you really, prior to your return to the capital were very illuminating. The fact that the Arcane Congress is training a group of young Perrin that are able to look like Amultese soldiers, traveling over the border and use their magics to wreak havoc along the border, has affected us more than we'd like to admit. We need better trained mages. Mages that aren't just learning what makes them happy. Mages that are trained to do what needs to be done to succeed. Now, I don't mean, of course, going against the ideals of Amulta. I think you and I both understand that. I mean, trains the spells that they need to know, rather than the spells they want to know. And after their time in the military, they can, of course, pursue their own interests. But while they're with us, we need them to succeed. You agree, do you not?
Yes.
A ball of fire certainly is going to be more helpful on the front lines than some spectral hands knitting a ball of yarn.
I think I might disagree with you on that. Well, I mean, not those particular spells. Obviously, fire is more deadly. But I think
she leans back as you're saying this.
I think it might be better for them to learn more counter magics, because the Arcane Congress isn't teaching the Perrin exactly how to use magic. They're just teaching them how to use items, how to take advantage of the magics that are already created. What would be beneficial is if your mages were able to counter those items so that their power is significantly weakened right out the gate, and then your Gish can go in and finish off the job, in my opinion.
I've put together a lesson plan. I was curious if you, with all of your understanding of the Arcane Congress's teachings from the past, from your countless decades as a student, would be willing to look over the lesson plan that I've put together. Make the adjustments that you see fit for the focus of magics, what you think would be better on the battlefield, as suggestions, annotations, not
Mhm.
line through, and bring it back to me. You'll of course be rewarded for your efforts in this.
I'd be happy to. Anything to make Amulta stronger.
You roll me a perception empathy check.
Womp womp. 13.
Do you want to modify that 13, sir?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
16.
So with your 16, and I did set the DC pretty hard for this one. For 15 was for the full understanding as opposed to a partial. So you do have 4 stunt points. This is exploration, but technically speaking, with this one, because of exactly what I'm doing, you can use this as role play. But understand you're trying to read what she's saying. Actually, you know what? Let me say what she says first, and then you can choose how to use the stunt. You can see that she is she's trying to she's trying to decide whether or not she wants to divulge any more to you than she already has. She's trying to decide whether or not she trusts you. She's never actually had a full-blown conversation with you before, more than just like a quick little 1 or 2 sentences in the hallway over the course of the past decade that you've lived here, right? So she's trying to decide whether or not she wants to trust you more than that. With that knowledge, you have 4 stunt point. How would you like to use that?
I think I want to do another thing.
Sure.
So while I kind of get that sense off of her, I would say
You have enough things, only 2. You still have 2 more. How would you like to use that before you do another thing?
I mean, he's not a Bon Mart person, and there's no one else in here to sway the crowd.
You can also use exploration.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let it go.
I just another thing. I'll just lean forward, and he won't lean forward, but he'll look at her, kind of sensing that, and he'll say, I would like you to know, as everyone should know by this point, I'm fully dedicated to Amulta. Life would have been easier for me if I even just stayed where I was. I decided to come here because things were wrong. What we were doing, what I did, was wrong. And I'd like to better the world, and I think Amulta is that betterment.
I'm still going to need you to roll a persuasion check. Before you press it, you might want to or whatever, before you press the button. And understand that the delivery of your RP did affects the DC.
It's just flat communications for me, guys.
Do you want to modify your 11?
Should I modify it, guys?
I mean, you have 6 dice in the pool.
Yeah, there are 6 dice in the pool right now. Someone stocked up, and thank you for whoever did that. But
it was Vinsexel, Oclo, and Silencio.
Well,
12. 12. Because my luck at rolling.
Lucky luck.
Again, your delivery did actually modify the DC there. So she does say, because obviously she's opening up to you as it is, so it's not like she wasn't already trying to talk to you. She does say, the conversation that we're having, my plan here, the Queen and I have a full understanding of this. It's something that I've been trying to work on for some time. However, not everybody would agree with this. Certainly not everybody in my family would agree with this. I understand that you and Roderick have a bit of a relationship.
Roderick is Brintel.
We stayed at his at the RC.
It's Brintel, right?
In Brintel, yes.
In Brintel, yeah. I don't know him. It was him and Chris Ellen that arranged most of the meetings. I'm just an advisor.
Well, then allow me to advise you to keep this business between the two of us until such a time that the lesson is fully fleshed out.
Understood. Of course. It's nice to speak to another practitioner of the arts. I ran into something, and I think you might be able to help me as well. Of course, as a sidebar, this has nothing to do with our previous arrangement.
Roll a persuasion check as you're saying that. Because obviously now you're saying, while we have this discussion,
Yeah, I know I'm doing 10.
She had already kind of leans back before.
Okay.
You can see that her arms cross in front of her. She just kind of gives you a nod to continue, but
I was met by a mysterious traveler a while back, and they did something to me. And I'm having a hard time understanding what it means. I can interact with the dead
excuse
now.
me, like those beyond the grave. You can speak to them now.
Some of them, I don't know how it works. It's something that I feel like it's a curse on me. Almost, they appear as a shadowy. Would an ashy be a good descriptor?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. A shadowy, almost ash-like form, and they can interact with me for short periods of time, answer questions, and aid me. But no one else can interact with them, from what I've seen. It's not like a summon. It's more like a divination.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but in correct me if I'm wrong, but in Arcane Congress's laws, by their laws, somebody that studies the arcane arts studies the arcane arts, and somebody that studies the divine arts study the divine arts. These are two segmented types of magic.
Yes, you're absolutely right. This is far beyond what I've ever learned. It's not even necromantic that I can tell. It seems to be bestowed.
Curse, as you said. This man that you encountered, who was he?
I don't know. He had an eerie feel to him, and he was able to just disappear without any sign of casting or using of a magic item. I didn't notice anything on him. And he also gave me something else.
She
And
raises an eyebrow. Her arms still crossed, of course.
I'll pull out the chest,
Mhm.
and I'll say, it's a unique magic item from what I've been seeing. Do you mind? As I hold the chest in my hand.
She nods.
And I'll kind of get up and I'll go more towards an emptier area of her study, and I'll summon the chest.
Yep, you just think about it and it appears where you thought about it to appear. She'll actually kind of like lean in her seat, and then when all of a sudden it just appears, she'll actually, get up and she'll walk over and she'll stand a couple steps to your side, but next to you. Arms still, again, she's a lady, so it's comfortably crossed in front of her, but not like, just like comfortably crossed, probably around like belly.
I'll open it, and I'll show her the swirling pattern on the inside, and I'll say, it's tied to us in some way. I'm not sure how. This is, again, beyond anything I've ever studied. And we've used it. You can reach in and pull out items, it seems, to help us at the times. I pulled out this one thing, and I'll pull out the broken box that I just now noticed because I've never looked since then. You're like, okay. Without saying anything.
You pull out this one thing, you pull out just a random looking box. She looks at it, you're like, okay, and you put it back in. She raises an eyebrow and looking back at your pocket. It was an item. I'll pull it back out. It's a friend, an interesting term. A friend made this case that was supposed to protect it. It was a vial, a very dangerous vial. It would seem during our chase, it was broken. I don't know where, but we'll probably hear about it soon. She has this unimpressed look on her face as you're describing losing a powerful magic item.
I apologize. We were running for our lives. We had numerous ships chasing us down, and they were full of tons of soldiers. We didn't want to create any more issues with Yovance, so we left as fast as we could.
I understand. You're telling me this because you do not understand fully what this box is, and you're hoping...
Or the man and the curse.
Very well. I will give you my lesson plan. You leave me the box. we'll both have an understanding for one another. It was the trade you were hoping for, was it not?
I warn you about this box. It has serious consequences if you reach in. Oscar almost died just by reaching in. He was imbued with so much energy, he was going to explode.
Perhaps the wrong magic item was broken or lost. Why don't you leave it with me? It will be looked into.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you kind of like, she hand it to her, or do you put it like on one of the desks nearby, or what do you do?
I don't want to give it to her. But I've already went down this road. I'll hand it to her.
Okay. She takes it and looking at it, and then she goes and she puts it on the desk that she was working at beforehand and says, very well then, the lesson plan. And she will walk over to the bookshelf that's over near the door. And so she has 3 books sitting there that are set right by the door. And she says, this of course is more set as a, oh God, I might be saying the wrong word here because I haven't been in college in a long time. Syllabus?
Syllabus is the right word.
Yeah!
Syllabus, yeah.
You could have used syllabus or curriculum. Either one would have been appropriate.
She says this is more of a syllabus than it is the full lesson plan, as it's meant to be a start for somebody's learning from beginning to end. After you have an understanding of this, inform one of the servants, inform one of the servants of the castle to send me word, and I will actually have the lesson plans fully brought to you.
Understood.
Okay. All right.
Oh, I screwed up. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't know she was going to take it. I thought she was just going to research it. All right.
Question: how did you think she was going to research it?
I thought
Something
she was just
that is
going to
completely from another,
Yeah, but I don't know about, Laszlo knows of planes. He doesn't know planar.
No. I understand. More my point is this is completely a different kind of magic than what she's used to. She is not going to have books on that here. How did you think she was going to research it?
I thought she would maybe she'll just.
it.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I was thinking
enough.
that she would mark down any symbols and all that stuff and use that to research it and not because I think she might die because if she starts meddling with the magic.
You have almost certainly killed somebody, yes, but we'll see what happens.
Yep. All right. I'll leave with the syllabus.
Okay, just give me 1 second. I was trying to remember something. So sorry. Back in the throne room, what was the one you spoke up at one point in time? I remember what it is. At one point, so when you go walking out of the room and leave, and she handed you the 3 books, you can actually see there is a servant standing outside the room. You look up and you see the person. The person's name is Rufus.
All right.
Better than NPC3. You actually know Rufus because he is one of the people that serves the queen directly, as opposed to just general staff inside the castle. And as soon as you kind of walk out and look up, and Rufus, he looks at you and says, "The queen is looking to speak with you. Are your dealings with the Lady Amulta done? Sorry, not Lady Amulta,
Lady Arcania.
RCM done?
RCM. Yep. Yes, they are. Does she wish to speak right now?
Yes. And they'll say, please follow me, and they'll lead you that direction. They'll actually lead you straight into a break so that people can get a drink, go pee, and so on and so forth.
How old is Lady RCM?
16? No,
RCM.
No,
I would assume 16.
Sorry. Lady RCM's in her early 50s. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was some foreshadowing there to, another person who's after Captain Amulta. Is that what that was?
Wow. We'll be right back.
You know.
Continue to picture Tyler when you think of that.